quotidien.
Hey, thanks for tuning back in. I am sorry I'm a little bit late today. My last couple of weeks have been really busy, so we're just going to jump right into it. We are still working on this medieval mansion. I'm going to do a little bit on the windows today. I'm going to do a little bit on the doors today. I was working on this door here in the center yesterday, trying to flesh it out a little bit. I want to make it a little bit more unique and kind of separate, split up that rock pattern in the back there to kind of break that up a bit. And then on top of that, I think I've got to finish these roof panels. I got to try to get these done as quick as I can. So we're just going to jump into it. Let me get my chat up. Ooh. Just realized I didn't have that loaded up yet, so if anybody joins in and tries to chat, I won't be able to see it. But we'll get that loaded up. And there we go. Alright, let's get going. So I think I'm going to start with, let's start with this door. Let's get this door a little bit more finished up. Let's just slam it out as quick as I can. Where am I on layers? I'm on the door layer. Okay. Got to make a new one. I was thinking about doing like large stone blocks. Kind of just sketch that in there real quick, kind of see how I like that. And I guess I could just take them up to like a keystone archway. So the top of an archway here is called a keystone. Oh, thanks, Raincloud. It's called a keystone. Think of it like it locks in that archway. They are a little bit wider at the top than everything else. So if you're ever doing an archway, kind of remember that when you're drawing it, that the keystone is wider than all the other blocks that are underneath it. It's kind of like the most important block of the entire open doorway, or archway rather. Yeah, I kind of like that. I'm gonna go ahead and just start getting that more finalized. I've got this guy here. I'm gonna erase. See, I got that stone coming all the way out here, so I need to make sure that my wall feels like it's actually resting on these rocks. Now, so I originally put a little window in here. I think I'm going to have to get rid of that because this archway is going to just bust into that and break that up. Here comes that keystone. And you can do some cool decorative piece with the keystones, because a lot of medieval buildings, they would really decorate that keystone to really make it look more important. Trying to think what I will end up doing with it. Ah, jeez. I just drew that all on the white layer. I need to remove all of that. Oh, that's frustrating. It's exactly what I did not want to do. So you may ask, what is the point of that white layer? It is what I call it. It's what's called a mask layer. I've basically used it to mask off some of this drawing so that I can cover up the art underneath without destroying it, because I spent a couple hours doing these little rocks. If I ended up not liking what I'm drawing right now, I'd have to either, if I had erased that line art underneath, I'd have to redraw it all, and that's several hours of work that I would have had to redo by just masking it off, by just putting something over top of it so that you can't see it. I haven't destroyed that art underneath, and I can just add or subtract from that layer underneath to reveal the art underneath. I'm going to want to break those up a little bit more evenly. Sorry, I keep going back and forth on these, but I think it's going to be better if I can get these nice and even and looking solid. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll be able to respond to them as I'm drawing. Alright, I'm going to go back onto that white mask layer and cover up that line art that's underneath everything that it's kind of overextended itself a little bit. Figure this will be multiple stone blocks. Those are a little bit off. That's a little bit better. And now I can get rid of that line and throw a little texture on this guy. I've said this in previous videos, and I think I'm kind of failing at it today. Try not to repeat a pattern over and over again. It'll start to stand out, and your viewers will start to recognize that you're just doing the same pattern over and over again. So look for ways to add variation to any kind of pattern you're doing, especially like this rock texture. It's starting to look really similar to me, so I need to think about ways to vary the shapes. digging that. I'm liking how that's looking now. I wasn't super happy with it the other day, or at least the way the door was looking the other day, so I'm exceptionally happy with it now. Okay, so this layer. And you see I put that window right there, and now I've got to I've got to take that out, and it's one of the more frustrating parts of doing this. If you start locking stuff down like I did, a couple days ago, I worked on this for a couple of hours and I flattened all my layers, and so now it's all one big piece, and I got to go ahead and clear it all out and block in new stone shapes. I'm going to pump up the dark edge on these stones here because I want it to look like they're popping out a little bit from that wall behind them. A thicker line will give the subtle impression that there's some more depth. Alright, that fixes that up. Again, I'm punching that line up just a little bit to give a little bit of layer. Try not to keep your rock lines perfectly smooth. Rocks and wood and organic stuff, they don't have as many nice smooth lines as a lot of people put on them. A lot of people will put perfectly smooth lines, and it takes everything away from the actual image, because all of a sudden people look at this super smooth line, they're like, something's not right with that. I don't know what, but something's not right, and it's that smooth line. Your observers will be able to see it almost immediately. They may not know exactly what's bugging them, but something will bug them about the image, and they'll just be like, there was something about that. Happens all the time. And it might even happen to you while you're doing the drawing. Like, you might be looking at it going, something's not right. I can't quite put my finger on it, but something's not right. It's probably a subtle little line that you didn't even think about. Now, yesterday when I was working on this, I erased the the supports for this building here, for this little extension that's popping out. And I was thinking about adding something. I'm not quite sure how or what. Might help if I was drawing in the right color and not so large. Okay, we'll make this a sample image. Hello, chat. How's it going? Not quite sure about that. I'm gonna come back to that. I need to put something there, but not quite sure what I want to do with it. So we'll move on. We'll come back. I think I'm gonna go to the windows. I gotta get these windows locked in. Got 4 of them over here, a couple of them over here, and these 2 big stained glass ones that I was gonna put in. So I'll just start over here. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to hit them up in chat, and I'm watching the chat so I can answer them. Hello, Amelia. Wow. Trying to get that nice and centered, but it's kind of off center, so I have to think about where to place it before I start throwing the line down. If you have any questions while I'm drawing, feel free to put them in the chat. I will address them as I see them. Otherwise, for the most part, I'll just be kind of rambling and drawing. Hello, Gink. I'm sorry. I am not quite sure how to pronounce your name. I do apologize, but thanks for tuning into the stream. If you got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll periodically pan out to show the whole image too, so some of you the people that just jumped onto the stream may not have been able to see it. So definitely want you guys to see what we're working on here. We're doing a giant medieval mansion. Oh, I get the sense that window is not... Yep, not quite even. What do you guys think? Should I put like flower pots underneath these windows, or just leave them with the blinds or with the shutters? So if you're working on something in your own art, one of your own personal art projects, take a quick notice at the way I'm doing the line weight on these little blinds. Anytime there's something on the bottom, ciao! Anytime there's something on the bottom, I will put a darker line. I'll try to really darken that up. The reason why I'm doing that is so that it will look, you'll have a difference between the top line and the bottom line. If one of them is thicker, it automatically forces this illusion of depth, and it's probably the easiest way you can trick the eye into seeing and feeling depth. Hello! I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name, and I really don't want to butcher it. But thanks for tuning into the stream. you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. I am replying to them as soon as they pop up in front of me, so. I'm not drawing all the way through this shutter because I know that the roof edge is going to be right there, so there's not really any point in me going hardcore onto that roof, under that roof edge, because it's just going to get covered up eventually anyway. So I will just kind of stop it there and let you imagine that it's behind that roof edge. And once I come back through with the actual edge of the roof, I'll erase wherever it actually is going to get covered up. The roof edges are kind of this jagged kind of a look that I've got going on over here. So it's a little bit more tricky than just a nice straight edge. But I am pretty happy with those. Let me zoom out and see what they look like. Yeah, I'm liking that. I'm liking that a lot, actually. So they're looking pretty good. And come over here, throw some more over in here on this side. This time I think I'm going to put the shutters open. Remember, these things have thickness to them. They're not just a flat piece of paper. They've got some thickness and actual material in them. So don't forget to show that when you're adding them into your drawings. It doesn't have to be much, but make sure you add some kind of width to your items. Fold into the center going up. That means they are going to go out. Darker line on the bottom. And then because even those little support boards have some kind of thickness to them, I'm going to have them actually go out past that edge just a little bit. Now I'm putting in some really tiny details here on something that's going to be really small. So Like, I'm not going to go in and do a wood grain on these things like I've done in previous projects for this same client. I've gone in and done some really like close-up wood grain on all the wood. It's not going to be necessary on this one because no one is ever going to see it when it's zoomed all the way out. If you get too zoomed in too often, you will find yourself worrying about little teeny weeny details, and then you'll lose all your time trying to add an element that no one's ever going to see. So try not to do that. Try to work as far zoomed out as you can. Right now I'm zoomed a little bit close in, probably too close, but I want to be able to really get these windows in kind of nice. Now, again, thickness on the window, so actually give it some depth. Not liking that. I'm liking that a lot. And maybe even throw in a little flower box underneath. I'm not gonna get super close on those flowers because, again, they're tiny. They're super tiny. But I'm gonna add a couple of details that kind of make this box stand out and say, you know, flower box. And I'm kind of liking that. box, nothing too fancy. Simple little flower box. You can see this window goes up underneath the eave of the house. So again, I'm not going to worry too much about all the details. Just going to kind of quickly lock these panels in. So no questions at all. Nobody's got any questions? I think it's important to find good music you like to listen to when you're doing your art. You'll be surprised at how much you can just get lost in the drawing and get a lot of work done if you got music you drive to. I've done a lot where like I've tried to listen to music that's like a sets a scene. So like if I'm working on a Middle Eastern piece, I'll put on some Middle Eastern music, and that'll help too. Like if you're doing like a interesting illustration for a certain timepiece, if you put on music that fits that timepiece or fits that area that you're trying to portray, you'll get really into your stuff, and your mind will start racing the way that it should. In this case, I'm just doing some music that I like to listen to. Some good old Daft Punk. And then for those of you that are watching, all one of you, next week, me and a couple of other artists are going to be doing a drink and draw session. We'll set the stream up, and we'll be hanging out, playing games, and drawing and drinking at the same time. So, I mean, hopefully you are enjoying this, and hopefully you like what I'm doing here. And if you do, I hope that you tune in for that too. Right now I'm just boldening up some of these lines to push a bit of depth on the image. By making this line thicker, I'm forcing the rest of the house back, pushing it back. That harder edge is going to help really just sell that this is pushed back from the building, or from the edge of the roof. Now just going to make another little planter. Alright, I think that's pretty solid there. Now, zoom back out. Yeah, I'm liking that. Merge that with the doorway there. That line's too far out. That's what's bugging me. And I've lost all my viewers. If you're still viewing this, go ahead and say hi in the comments, so I can tell who's still with me. I am not quite sure how I'm going to show a stained glass window without drawing each individual pane. I really don't want to draw each pane of this glass window. Because it's going to be a lot of a pain in the butt. Put the little medieval feet of people. They point their toes down in all their effigies and images. I don't know. I'm not digging that at all. I'm liking that second window a heck of a lot more. It's probably because I started with the image in the middle and worked my way out to do the glass. liking that. I'm liking those windows. They're a little ornate, a little crazy, a little over the top. Yeah, I'm liking that. Little crest up on the roof. I'll sneak in a little subtle personal tag that most people won't ever know about. Because nobody's watching this stream right now, and that's their fault, not mine. Yeah, nope, not digging that. I gotta put something in this window, but I'm not quite sure what to put there. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with that window. Let's take a second and look at some references. Not like anybody's watching anyway. Oh, holy. Some of these stained glass windows are just insanity. turn off that layer so that I can see what I'm doing a little bit more clearly. I think that'll do nicely. I hope that'll do nicely. Yep, that'll do that nicely. Oh, that's a gorgeous stained glass. This is the importance of looking at reference photos. I looked at a reference photo and I saw that all the backgrounds behind the images of the people in these stained glasses are perfectly patterned to distinctly separate the person from the background. They're clearly a different shape. The backgrounds are like a nice uniform shape, like either squares or diamonds. And by doing that, there is no question that the focus of that image is the person. It gives you a nice contrast. And had I not looked at a reference, I would have kept my poorly done stained glass windows right there. So I'm glad I looked at some reference and saw that, because that would have been very tragic. And now I'm rethinking these stained glass up here as well now, which is sad because I just finished it, but I'm looking at the stained glass and I can see clearly that it would probably be better to have it going in a pattern. Yeah, it looks good. looks very nice now. Looks fancy. And had I looked at a reference first, I would have done that from the beginning, but I'm a fool. Learn from my mistakes. Don't do that. Yeah, so I found this one reference. We are gonna go make sure that's perfectly white. Alright, so I got this reference here for one of these little eaves that kind of hangs out. And the way they did it, quickly just kind of thumbnail it out. They've got like a divide right there. And I'd want to carry that over to the other side here. And then it kind of curves down. It kind of curves down like that. So I'd end up with something like that. I might just do the one. What if I took that wall in a little bit more? Really give that stone archway a little bit of room to breathe. Kind of like that. Then I'd have to kick that back farther though. This is not the kind of thing you should be designing while you're drawing. Think this stuff up first. Come up with this all first. Because you can lose lots of hours trying to plan out and think out all your ideas. Oop, that's going to the other vanishing point, my bad. I was listening to a interesting podcast today about the gunpowder revolt, the infamous Guy Fawkes revolt. If that name sounds familiar, there's a rhyme that goes with the revolt. Remember, remember, the 5th of November. The gunpowder treason and plot. I can see of no reason that the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. And so it was an interesting podcast talking about kind of the stuff that went on during the plot and some of the theories that kind of came up out of it. And how Guy Fawkes was very much a fall guy for the revolution. He was not the genius mastermind by any stretch of the imagination. But he was the guy that got caught, and they were going to draw and quarter him. And on his way up, part of the drawing and quartering, they hang you until you're almost dead. Then they cut you down, and then they, while you're incapacitated from being almost choked to death, they extract your entrails with you still alive, and then cut you into 4 pieces with you as alive for as long as they can maintain. Not a nice way to go. And he was aware of this, so just before they're taking him up to the gallows to start the first process, and he throws himself off the stand. No, I'm not sure what you'd call that. The platform that the gallows are erected on, throws himself off of it, and intentionally lands on his own neck, breaking his own neck, so that the English won't have the satisfaction of drawing and quartering him. This guy's got some fucking balls. That's some serious willpower to throw yourself off and snap your own freaking neck. But it was a pretty interesting little podcast talking about that part of the history. of gets me jiving to do projects like this. Kind of feel like I need to take that corner in more and do more of a decorative so as I'm reaching that corner, it just kind of falls flat. Whereas if I do that, it feels a little bit better. It feels a little bit more solid, I guess. That's bad. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That looks cool. That looks pretty sweet. Wow, I got so much to get done still. I got almost nothing done tonight. Just little micro details. Well, I think I'm going to call it right there. I've got a pretty sizable chunk of work I got to finish up tomorrow. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get it done, but I will find a way because that's what I do. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this stream, and I will be sharing a completed image of this on my Instagram, Facebook, all my social medias. So once it's done, you can go there and check out. Yeah, sure. I'll check your stream out right now. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna sign off here.